I'm giving you my top budget vacuum picks in 3 different categories. We purchased some of the most popular vacuums on Amazon at under $160, and there's definitely some surprises. Links are down below. The first category is cordless vacuums, and I'm going to make 2 recommendations. We're actually starting with the most expensive vacuum in this test, the Black & Decker Power Series Extreme Pet. It's still inexpensive for a cordless, and I've got some things to say that aren't so good about it, but first, let's talk about the design. So yes, in some ways this looks a bit like a budget Dyson knockoff, and in many ways actually it is. What sets it apart from other budget cordless vacuums is the head design. It's motorized and it seems well put together. You can see it has 3 separate rows of bristles to agitate carpet effectively. It's also quite good on hardwood. They say it's anti-tangle, and it does a pretty good job on pet hair and people hair, but it's not so great on longer rave hair. I mean, doesn't everyone vacuum up 14-inch rave hair on a regular basis? The head is very maneuverable, which makes it easy to get around furniture, and it also can go down completely flat so you can get it underneath your bed. There's one thing that separates it from other cordless vacuums, and that is the Black & Decker Power Connect battery system. It runs for up to 55 minutes on low, but the great thing is you can use the same battery in other Black & Decker products such as drills, saws, and yard tools. It also comes with this pet hair tool, which is great on kitty condos and furniture. I mean, if your cat has their own condo, they definitely have you as cleaning staff, even if you don't know it. The spa is open. On the downside, the canister is not that big at 0.75 liters, meaning you need to empty it a lot. The Power Series is a bit on the heavier side because of the brush roll, but the main drawback, and that's true of all the vacuums in the test, is that the canister is not sealed. Yes, it has a HEPA filter, but because the canister is not sealed, all the dust and dirt particles can get right back into your room, and they do. TMA sent us the T220 for review, and I'm including it because it's quite a bit cheaper than the Black & Decker, but I still think it's worth considering if you're at Internet University and you're on a ramen budget. Now at this price point, it's good for pickup on hard surfaces, not so much carpet, and it's extremely lightweight at a little over 5 pounds. The wand extends so you can cosplay Star Wars. Oh! It also comes with a pet brush tool, which is kind of unusual at this price category. Now one of the downsides is that just like the Black & Decker, the canister is not sealed. The head isn't really powerful to do much serious cleaning on carpet. If you're enjoying this video so far, please go ahead and tap the like button just ever so gently, just caress it smoothly. In our testing, the Black & Decker picked up 96% of the sand we ground into the carpet, while the TMA picked up 78%. Now right there, that's a difference in head design. The Black & Decker definitely has a superior design, but you are paying more. The motors in both of these units seem similarly powerful. Airflow at the wand was also nearly the same. Airflow at the head was similar too, with the Black & Decker being just slightly ahead. And suction also was very close. Next, we're looking at budget canister vacuums. A while back, we compared the Bissell Zing against the Eureka Whirlwind canister. Both of these vacuums are very inexpensive and both have very similar features and design. Now we've been doing a lot of really dumb things with these 2 vacuums, like our Mega Mess Test, where we dump all kinds of sand and hair and dirt on carpet and then we try to vacuum it up, and that probably has a pretty negative effect on the filters. And after doing that multiple times, I decided to use the Bissell as my personal car vacuum. It has better suction, I prefer the wand design. Got a lot of control there for a second because of the incredible suction. However, I recently ran into a bit of a problem. You see, I cleaned the filters on these vacuums, but probably not enough. You should really do it about every 30 days or so, and here's why. The filter can get clogged and basically stop working, and dirt can end up inside the motor, and I think that's probably what happened in my case. The suction basically dropped dramatically, and now it kind of sounds like it has the flu. It smells like something's burning! So I think it's probably close to being done. The Eureka Whirlwind is still going strong, however, despite similar abuse, but a little bit less use. The Eureka has pretty similar suction, and it also has a built-in dusting brush tool. Although the canister in the Eureka is actually not sealed, it lets out a lot less smoke than the Bissell Zing. And when they were both new, the carpet pickup was very similar between the Eureka and the Bissell. Neither has a brush roll, but if you're on a super tight budget, I'm going to give this round to the Eureka. But if you have carpet, you definitely want to upgrade to a better vacuum with a brush roll. And I did a comparison between these two vacuums in another video. You can go check that out. Next, we tested 4 upright vacuums at different price points. And there is one pretty clear winner in this category. Let me explain. The Eureka Airspeed is the cheapest upright vacuum in this test, and I found, yes, you mostly get what you pay for. But there are some important differences in features, especially when it comes to carpet. And there's also some things about hard surfaces that you definitely need to know. All 4 vacuums performed reasonably well in our pickup test, where we ground sand into the carpet and then measured how much each vacuum picked up. Now, the Shark Navigator performed best, but you should know it's not always possible to test everything perfectly. We try to make these tests accurate, but they're not always perfect because not all of the sand ends up in the canister. Sometimes in a larger vacuum like this, you might get some of the sand in here, and we're just measuring the weight of the canister before and after, so take that as you will. There was a bigger difference in our airflow at the wand test, however. The Shark exceeded the capacity of our wind speed meter at 45 meters per second. We call it overload. The cheapest vacuum, the Eureka Airspeed, had a wind speed of only 36 meters per second, which is still better than all of the cordless vacuums in this test. Airflow at the head showed a similar range. And our airflow at the head tests show the kind of airflow you can expect when you're vacuuming on a hard surface. Suction at the wand also followed a pretty similar pattern, increasing pretty much in sync with the price. But man does not vacuum with data alone. Man vacuums with sand and sometimes cereal on hardwood. And here's where we found an important feature that only comes in some of the vacuums. We sprinkled sand on the hardwood floor, and the Eureka Airspeed kicked back a lot of it behind the vacuum. Might be kind of hard to see, but actually it did throw a fair bit of sand back behind it. This is pretty typical of inexpensive vacuums that don't have any height adjustment on them. However, the Eureka Power Speed and the Hoover Wind Tunnel have a height adjustment, and that makes a difference when you're vacuuming up big things like cereal. The vacuums without a height adjustment just act like a snowplow or a cereal plow. I don't know what that is. Now, all of these vacuums kicked back some of the sand behind them, and that's because they've got a fairly simple brush roll. One thing you're going to find with an inexpensive vacuum like this, you really can't get very close to the edges. So when you're vacuuming up near the edges, like my cat is right now, it's going to miss around the last ½ inch or so. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Now, they all did reasonably well with pet hair, but they also all got tangled with 14-inch rave hair, which granted is a pretty difficult test. Let's talk about maneuverability. The relatively basic head design of these vacuums, most are not very maneuverable actually, and you need to push them around corners, except for the Shark Navigator. It's got a better head design. Most upright vacuums are relatively heavy, but the Eureka Airspeed and the Eureka Power Speed were both very light at 7.8 pounds and 10.6 pounds respectively. However, the Hoover was a whopping 16.8 pounds, making it rather difficult to carry. This cord rewind is really heavy. It's almost 17 pounds. Oh. However, the long wand and dusting brush makes stairs not too difficult. Despite the fact that it is pretty heavy, big, and clunky, it's a pretty good vacuum. Plus, it has this very nifty cord rewind feature. Woo! The Shark is also good with stairs because it has lift-away technology. Now, on shag carpet, just like on hardwood, having a height adjustment makes a world of difference. Despite having a powerful head, the Navigator unfortunately has no height adjustment. Oh, that's a lot of work. But the Hoover, that was a different story. The height adjustment makes a big difference in how easy it is to push across shag carpet like this. Now, all these vacuums are pretty easy to empty. They have large canisters. They all have a HEPA filter, but only one of the vacuums passed what I think is maybe the most important test. You see, all the vacuums in this test, except for one, have a problem that no one actually really talks about. And that's because it just simply costs more money to make a canister sealed. But it's important because a HEPA filter doesn't really matter if all the fine dust and dirt just get blown back into your room. And that's why I think the best budget upright is the Shark Navigator NV360. Yes, it's the most expensive, but overall it's the best performer, and it has a sealed system to keep the dirt inside the vacuum. Now, for a little less money, the Shark NV532 also has a sealed canister. Links are down below, and thanks for nerding out with us today.